Thank you for joining.
Sir, please start the recording.
Yes, sir, I started. Sir.
Thank you for
Yes,
joining.
sir. Sorry, Kiran sir, to disturb in between.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Okay, we'll start. Actually, I had two algorithms. One is Grover algorithm and Shor's algorithm. So that Shor's algorithm is using for the factorization. Suppose if you give any number, that algorithm can be used for factorization of the number in a prime factor we can call. And the Grover's algorithm is a search algorithm. So that is just for using for finding that it will not calculate anything, just it will be searching. Just in the morning I'm trying to mention when we are using this oracle operator, so it will just reiterate the tree when it is this. It will not calculate anything, it's not add any value to that one, just it will just like a within the loop it will just reiterating thing. So I will more focus on the oracle operator for when we are dealing with the Grover's algorithm. But what I heard is when I want to proceed further, they said I got some requests. So can I quickly recap the morning session for part state of the vector and its dual, some of the addition and multiplication. I got a easy problem, but for solving I don't know how it will be. Just recap something so that next terms will be easy. We'll see that also. Then we'll proceed to the Grover's. After Grover's, we'll conclude with the Shor's algorithm. So this is the agenda for the afternoon session. So I don't immediately go to this Grover's now. Before, for the Grover's algorithm, we need only two operation. One is oracle and Hadamard operation. Then Shor's algorithm, which is we just searching. So we'll see how we can use it. Again, here also I'm trying to explain the only algorithm. I'm not going to take any hands-on for the algorithm using quantum computers. So we'll try to analyze this, try to correlate with our classical theories. Then we'll see how best we can implement using a quantum computer this algorithm. So okay, so I don't start these things in the already we know that vector space and all. I'll just take only the state and its dual notation. You can see this for any quantum mechanical state can be represented as a ket. So you all know that by the term ket how it can be written, and its dual nature can be bra. You also know very well that one. If it is a complex number, the dual nature can be the complex conjugative transpose of the ket. So ket can be written as bra while taking the complex conjugate.
Sir,
yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sir, here how the quantum state can be represented, or why it is complex number, sir? Actually, we get sometimes
only real number. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Now actually it will be all dealing with the probability. Like suppose if you take hydrogen atom and something in the electron proton that much level, yes, so we don't exactly give, like I said, the state of the quantum mechanical system can be expressed psi of t over a particular time. What is that? It is actually a continuous thing, so we cannot discretize it is. Yes. So So for our easiness or for our understanding particular state, how it will be, just to visualize the things or to just realize the things, we are just making it as a arbitrary kind of thing. Instead of quantum continuous thing, we are making it as a
Discrete value.
discrete value. Exactly. Yeah. So for that particular thing, we all know only not 100% sure how the state is exactly at that particular time. So we will only deal with the probability of that one, not that. Actually, we can say that as the probability of the state at that particular time can be written as ket psi. So that is the one. That is the meaning of that one. So that probability,
Yes, sir.
if you are dealing in the real thing, it's not that simple. We can say the value can be 2, 3, or 4. So what is the importance of this associated imaginary value will give us? Its complete state. So sometimes, suppose if you take the wave, so amplitude can be given as the real value, whereas its phase can be calculated its imaginary value. So both are important to express the state of that particular wave function. Or suppose a stress wave or anything is propagating in a media, to express that we need both the values. So one particular value will not sufficient to
Yes, sir.
represent the state completely. So that is, we are not completely representing the state with only if we have the real value. Sometimes the phase can be 0 or something. So that time we are ended up with only one real value.
Yes,
That
sir.
is fine. Well, so if we want to represent the state completely, we need all the
Imaginary values. Yes, sir.
everything. Yeah. So that will be there. So just it is only that particular imaginary value, in particularly just for this wave, it will be giving the phase. In other application, the value, imaginary value, impedance can be something. Suppose if you are taking the vibration theme,
Yes, sir.
so then that imaginary value can be expressed immediately connected to the our analogy to the dashboard, like it is viscosity. Means viscoelastic nature. So elastic body, we are vibrating, we are allowing to freely vibrate by giving some initial force. It is has to continue, but we are ended up with the motion or the amplitude is becoming 0 after certain time. That is because some hard viscous force is applying on that. That is in reality we can say it is something like resistance, or what you can say friction, or some other thing. So that there that imaginary is correlating or giving the value of that the viscous nature or the damping, we can say actually. So that is how much it will be damping that particular thing we can. So in that case, so a lot of other analogies will be for a state when we are representing, we need to give it complete position, but at that particular time. So that will be the value. Hope I answered your question. Is that clear? Am I audible? Yeah. Okay, we'll proceed. So I didn't express here clearly for the our inner product, like a vector product or the cross product. I just mentioned in the morning, just cross product can be, we are just writing this in a dot product. Suppose if we are taking the real nature of this one, so that will give you the only single matrix. So that matrix can be the uh, uh, outer product or a vectorial product that we concluded. So I'll just take, okay, so these are some of the things we mentioned: complex conjugate, how we can go from the particle nature, so and its dual nature, how the duality is equal to the original, that is complex conjugative when we are taking the dot product. Suppose when we are taking the state, suppose actually when we are, why we are calculating the norm of the particular state. So since you just asked, when we are writing a particular state, we need that real value and imaginary value is expecting. So if you are taking the value of that one, real, square root of real plus imaginary will give that particular magnitude. That's what we are expressing with this kind of operations. So we know that when we are dealing with the complex number, so the magnitude of the complex number can be square root of that x plus y if the complex number is x plus I1. So in that way, because we are just expressing this magnitude. But if we want to get that value, we can just simply, this is the analogy of the same norm is that one, same. So one particular state norm, that is dot product of the same state or same vector, we can say. Okay, so this is the things we just see. So I taken one simple example here, sorry. Yeah. So you can take this one which is red in color. Please try to take it. Is very simple thing I given, because since I don't know morning how it is clear to you, that's why I just giving this. It's a state ket x, I can say. So ket x, ket x is given by 3i p1, 7i b2, and ket y is minus p1, 2i b2, where b1 and b2 are the orthogonal basis. Like our I can say this is in our real term 3i, and this is actually okay I cap, and this is j cap. So b1, b2, b3 are 3-dimensional, or b1, b2 is only 2-dimensional. So I can say this position is given in 2-dimensional space. So if you want to write this x and y in a matrix form, so the basis I mentioned already, I given also basis is b1 and b2. So linear equation system, we can write this is b1 and b2. Actually this I am just giving in a easy way to solve, that's why I am correlating the matrix. Otherwise you can proceed with like previous expression like this, a1 star b1, a2 b2, a3 b3, something like this. But to show that simply we can just take it. So now the first b1 coefficient is 3i, so I can write here 3i. Then b2 coefficient is minus 7i, so there is no real term actually. Then second vector y, I'm just calling vector because I'm just taking the analogy of our regular vectoring. So b1 is b1. So here what is the coefficient of this basis b1? Minus 1, and that is real, so there is no imaginary here. And this is 2i, that is plus 2i. So now it is very simple for our linear operating system, that is linear set of equations. This is the linear equation. So now it is asking x plus y. So I can simply, even I can write this is only for x. Other color. So this is, sorry, b2 is there inside. So this is only y vector. So if we add x plus y, simply this we can add these terms to this, means a1 term, okay, b1 term to b1, b2 term to b1. So can I get the xy value here? So we can add b1, b1. So simply there is no imaginary in the second term. So 3i minus 1 are the quotient for b1. Simply say I am just not putting the ket notation, I am just writing the b1. So this is the b1 quotient. So where is my mouse? Since this one is not able to okay. So this two terms simply adding, since it is not a real part is not there and here imaginary part is not there, so this 3i minus 1 or minus 1 plus 3i, whatever may be, we can write that is the b1 quotient. I can write here, actually it is a ket, I'm just saying. Then I'm computing this value. Then second term 7i plus 2i. So this is minus quotient. Minus 7i plus 2i is minus 5i terms okay. So this is the value of x plus y. Simple, that's all. So somebody can tell me that what is the, this is the ket xy, this is bra xy. So what is the bra xy value? Simply just take this minus complex conjugate, that is my okay plus 1. So minus 3i plus 1 of b1 here. So this is the value. So this one will be ket b1, ket b2 to go with the bra b1 and bra b2. Here I just not writing the basis here. So that is the value of this second. Similarly, I'm just asking the x by inner product. So here with this we can easily take the inner product. That's why I expressed in a matrix form. So x is this one, y is this one, but we are writing x bra, y ket. So y ket is as it is. X bra can be minus 3i and plus 7i. I'm just only taking the quotient. So this is the one multiplying the same over, I can put here minus 1 plus 2i. You can just see, imagine here plus 2i value. Then you can say multiply this with this 2 term, multiply this with this 2 term. That is your xy. Similarly, we can take yx. Okay, and I also asked here this one. Just I taken from there. So some of the laws I told for triangular inequality. So we can just take this 2. So this addition, already we had the addition here. So that is x plus y. Here actually psi y that I given it is just for you to imagine this is the triangular inequality if the positions are psi and phi. But here our positions are x and y. So simply I can say x plus y. So individually norm x, individually norm y. So I can say x plus y is this one. So it's simply you can take square root of 3i plus 1 plus square root of square plus 5i square. This is its value. Even both the values will be same. If you calculate here and here, the magnitude will be same. So you can compare that it will this law holds good for any position or any states. Hope it is clear. I'll go back to the directly the Grover's algorithm. Just give me a second. Okay. So you just see the parallel computing of the quantum mechanism, the algorithm, applying some kind of gates. I got actually one good this thing for all the gates in a single thing. I will share you. It will be helpful to you when you are reading this thing and trying to understand the thing. I'll send you that link after end of the session. Only that accessing the quantum gates, how can we operate in the quantum gates. Okay, coming back to the Grover's algorithm. So the Grover's algorithm, it is just it is his name, and the thing what it will be useful is for the searching algorithm I mentioned this morning. So suppose when we are trying to search in a given organized thing, suppose when we are actually most of the researchers will be facing this problem when we are taking a folder after doing the experiment. We'll simply give a name. Suppose imagine that our doing it for last 3 years or 4 years. I know some of the PhD people can be done even sometimes 7 to 8 years. In a typical case, it's even worse situation, it will go beyond. Just I'm taking average 4-5 years. So when in a first year when we are doing that experiment and given some name, then when we go for the second or third year, or when we are writing the thesis after 4th year, what is that particular thing, how we can search that folder. We don't, if we keep a name particularly easily, then it is easy, it will be only 2 minutes job. We know that the date is that there, and we know organizing folder first year, second year. Still in that first year particular experiment result, how we can fetch. You understand that, right? How tedious it is. I know some of that's why actually in the introduction to the research or some kind of things, the people used to say that the folder, that important things and all, what is the thing. So now I just want to iterate here how the algorithm will be useful when we are finding fetching that. So in our classical way, when we are organized, the data is there. So classical computing system is enough to get it in a simple within a short span of time. But if the data is not organized in a properly, suppose for example in a telephone directory, if you want to take some name, so how many things will exist in that thing. We know the space, fetching space is that book only. So the fetch space is confirmed for us. So within that space, that book, we are finding the name X. So it will be very difficult go in that. So what our classical computer will check, each name it will go one by one. So in that case, the iterative time, each step, let's check, suppose our name we are giving it is X, it is checking the names A, B, C, D in that. So it will go and match our required value is X. There the first pickup value is A, then it will go and assign that value, then it will match. Then the results are not correct, means X is not equal to A, then it will go next, next, next. In that way it will do. Then finally, if x is equal to x, that value is 1, then it will be 1, then it will stop the algorithm. That will pick up and give the value. So that is the case. So if we apply like iterative way, for we know that Oracle operator will be good. So if we apply the Oracle and the Hadamard, these two is more than sufficient for finding such kind of sets. Means when we want to take something from a given set of data in a space, so we can able to find, just apply the Oracle, just means creating the loop. So in the advantage here is it will not go in one by one checking like a classical way. It will just randomly apply that within the loop. When they apply the Hadamard equation, the Hadamard equation will be just value. It will be just like confirming like one. If it is one value, that means stop. Our value is exactly equal to the fetching value, or means our target is equal to the our pickup value. Pick whatever we picked, then it will stop the algorithm. Otherwise, the Oracle again will reinitiate the process. So in that way, the loop can be initiated. I will show the circuit. So I said that apply the Oracle and Hadamard. These two transforms are enough to find out the equation I just mentioned. Okay, I will say for ease of understanding, I just put the easy way of representing the algorithm in a diagram, or that I can say this is the mechanism of the Grover's algorithm. So like I said, n quantum bits are there. For our case, this we can say simply assume it as our telephone directory. In that we are checking for the name X. So in that telephone directory we have n names. So that is n qubits, I can say. So that is what the input. So then we take workspace for the Oracle, just creating the space within that. So the Oracle operator, I said in the morning, you will just give the value only in a simple expressive way. So suppose when we are applying the Oracle state X, so the get X, if we apply the Oracle operator, we can represent O or OF function. Then the result minus 1 to the power f of x, and simply that state x. So suppose if it is 0, then minus 1 to the power of 0, then f of 0 value can take. F of 0, it can be defined in the function that I'm just giving the simple. It may not be simple in the real application, that where the function itself is a big like not our quadratic or simple thing. It will be that a function just. So in that function it will calculate that, apply for that, then it will just it will take that loop. It will continue until we stop here when the Hadamard gate is there. So once it will apply the Hadamard gate, that means it will be just checking in this thing. So confirming the value. Once it is picked up something, then it will correlate or the checking with our target space, within the space only. So in the target, our taken value is exactly matching. Then it will stop. Otherwise, it will change again because of this Hadamard. It will change the sign. Then it will go back to the step 1. Then it will continue until we stop here. Our fetch option is satisfied. So this is the one. We'll see more Okay, the source factorization. I thought I'll give here clearly the what is the H adamant operation is doing, and here also what is adamant operation is giving. So in the notes I can explain, I can give you the steps that how the gates will operate. Like this will be the oracle gate. Similarly, how the gates will operate. If we take 2 or 3 example, simple case like instead of n qubits, we can take it is in a 2 qubit space. We are looking for in the 2 qubits like say 0 and 1. So when we are looking for the value 1, so it will just take in between 0 and 1 how the values will be there in 2 times, or how many iterations will be performed. Simply first it will pick up there 1 itself, then we can end up there because our target is 1. So that kind of thing we can immediately check it easily with this kind of operation like adamant and thing. If adamant operation is satisfied, we can stop. Otherwise, again reiterate the oracle function. Okay, before going for other algorithm, I said I'm just giving you the how the computing is happening inside that. Is there any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll proceed to the Shor factorization. Okay, I said this will be Shor's algorithm or Shor factorization. We can call it is in both ways. So I'll give you the why this algorithm is developed. So it will give you the factors, prime factors I can say, for a given number n. Suppose when our given number is n, so it will give its factors in a function space. Our classical system will give the function. Suppose if we take the 6, 2 3 is a 6. So like the 2 and 3 are the its factors for the number n is equal to 6. So that can be easily we can done. But here we can write in a function way, the factors also in a functional way. Suppose if needed, so that kind of things can be done using the Shor's algorithm. Whereas in our classical algorithm will not allow us in the factor space, we cannot use the function. But here we can use functions in between the factorization within the algorithm. We can just write a given number n in a its prime factors can be given by using a function. So for the Shor algorithm, suppose I can say 15 is the value, our n is the 15. Why I am taking the 15 in 2001 using that IBM software, this 3 bits or 4 bits, they tried to develop the algorithm in 2001. For 15, the factors as 3 and 5 using the quantum computers and things. So that thing is I can say it is recent kind of thing only for factorizing, prime factorizing for a given number, which will be actually typical application. Actually, I didn't see any application in my particular case. I haven't come across such situation. But we can really appreciate it, how it will be factorized. Once we see the algorithm clearly, we can understand that how the factorization is taking using the function within that. For that, it will be taking in 2 steps. The first thing is we have to generate using our classical way. Then that classical problem is fed to the quantum algorithm. Then the algorithm will develop in the for that particular problem what we are deducted using our classical computational method. So that particular, first we develop that feed to the quantum algorithm, then it will take care that a problem what is developed by the classical computer. So for that we will see how the classical part is there. Just suppose I said that value is n, so that our interesting factor n, we are checking so the value for n. So pick a pseudo random number. Actually it is trying to compare whether the a can be the factor of n or not. So in that case it will just take a random number a. Always when we are trying to find the factor, it can be equal or less than that. Suppose if it is a simple number 7, so 1 can be the factor and the number can itself be the factor 7. It cannot be greater than that. So that's why we are giving the condition a, if we are taking the random number a can be the factor of n or not. For the first thing, n, a can be less than 2n. If it is the same number as the factor, then it will be equal. But if for checking for the prime factors, so we can apply the GCD, that is greatest common divisor. So we can simply use the formula GCD. We can get that particular number, GCD of that number n. So greatest common thing, when we can compare that. So then compute that value. Then if that common divisor is not equal to 1, then actually if it is equal to 1 can be always be the factor for n number. If the GCD, that common divisor a is possible or not, we're just checking here, that's all the factor n. Then we can write f of x is equal to a power x. So here a power x mod n. So here actually then factorization, we can take here factorization. I think in our mathematics we studied, suppose a power a, when we are trying to write the factor minus 1 or plus 1 something is there, we might have solved this particular problem. This can be easily solved by using like approximation a power x by 2 minus 1 and a power x by 2 plus 1, so that when we multiply x square plus ba, so simply 1 x square x by 2 square, so that we'll get here something like that, x by 2 x by 2. So that is a simple factorization can be done, and then we can go for this actually this thing is not that great thing here, the next step. Then it will just feed that to the quantum factorization. So here in that particular case we are just giving the value. So once we are writing the operation using some gates, so we can see that within that we can see the function. I can say that state can be a function, any state. So in that way we can write that particular value n can be write in a function. Then finally we apply the quantum Fourier transform. So should have take it is actually somewhat difficult to explain the first immediately how the Fourier transform can be applied for the quantum state. So this is actually one of the important step here. So we will take a suppose a state. I think I had given here. How actually I thought of taking in a simple way one state, then how we can find out the Fourier transform of that particular thing. Then it will be easy. We can see here simply how we can visualize here. So okay, so if we the Fourier transform, we can just explain that term whatever the given function in terms of cosines and sines in exponential way. So in that way, that will be functioning the transport, the value of n factors can be expressed in this way. So here the state transform can be written here. Yeah, I'm just telling the quantum Fourier transform can be applied a particular state x can be written as summation of y e power 2 pi I xy, and that number we are trying, that is the state can be immediately changed in other basic. So we are just trying to change the basic in and expressing in a exponential way. If you write that e power ix can be cos 6 theta, we know that. So in that way, if we expand, then we can get 2 or 3 bases. There it will be only 2 bases. Here we can write in that the basis can be changed during the Fourier transform. Then that particular Fourier transform, this one same thing, can be expressed in a factorization by applying a simple storage registering thing, and that can be stored, that means the final factor can be stored in this value. So after applying the Fourier transform, it will just take step I missed maybe in between. Yeah, so simply after this thing, the final value whatever it is get, it can be stored, and that will be the factorization. Since the function involved here, so it will be just expressed in the factorization way. So then the factors can be get it that after the application of that function, after application of that command. So I just given here simple steps, but only thing here I can say, first 2 steps, it can be just take the value, given value n, and try to get this value into the factorization form. Then that form can be submitted to the quantum computation. In the quantum computation, we'll just apply the quantum Fourier transform. Then we express the basis, the function in terms of exponential series. Then that in the series, we are getting the factorization within that the series, whatever that series we are expressing, the factors can be get it here. The coefficients of the series can be the factors of that particular thing. So yeah, I thought of giving that some important reference book here for especially this book will be useful for this understanding of the both this Grover's algorithm and Shor algorithm. Here some illustrations also given, 1 or 2 examples. thought of doing for the shore factorization. Like I said, I had that function code for the 15 as factorized between 3 and 5. So we know that 15 factors can be 3 and 5. How it can be deducted? The factors of the 15 number 15n can be 3 and 5. How the code runs in a simple algorithm? The algorithm is here: obtain the factors from a period. The integration value of the integer n can be grouped into the step a power r is equal to mod 1 mod n. So a power r is trying for the factor that we choose an a and trying to represent the factors a in terms of a power r, then comparing that mod n, that is our value n. So the mod n is the positive value of that n. We can compare that factors of a power r in that way. Then we can take if we apply the Fourier transform, then we can express that series in terms of a power r minus 2 a power r by 2 minus 1 and a power r by 2 plus 1. So again we can compare this to the mod 1 mod n, that's the same. So if we express this, the r is the smallest positive integer such that the r can reduce further thing, then we'll get the factors, the power figure, just trying to factorize that one. So whichever is after getting define a conclusion as the r is the smallest integer, then we can stop this algorithm. Suppose if we get okay 12 is there, we got 2 and 6, two factors. Then if we conclude that 6 is not a smallest integer for the factor, then 6 can be again expressed into 2 and 3. Then it can run one more iteration and give the values and 2 and 3. Then we can say that 2 and 3 are the smallest integer. Then we can stop. Then for that particular case, the factors can be 2, 2, 3. So that we can express in this series. So I can take, since we have almost half an hour time. Actually, I thought I have some 3:30. I had another meeting, so I thought I'll join that. So that's why I keep in between the intermediate steps. So, but I think now it will be not that easy to understand without that intermediate step for this particular. If I give a simple example here for that particular value, any of the particular factor, something like 15 or 12 or something. I have here something. If express e power 2 pi I, and then that n can be to 15, then it will be transformed to the Fourier. Then we get that values. So I had something here. I don't know how to. Okay. I just written in one of my paper here. I don't have a particular slide for that example. So I thought I'll share the slide, but it is easy to understand. But okay, but is that clear or any clarity missing here? Not only for this algorithm, even previous algorithms also. If you have any application, the gates or the transformation, please try to ask. Is that okay?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, please proceed.
Okay. So, questions. Hello. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, Dhanraj. Dhanraj, sir. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Anything went wrong?
Fine. Hello, sir.
Yeah, why the communication gap?
Hello.
Any network
Yeah.
issue?
No, sir. No, sir. Sir, participations, any questions they can ask, sir. If not, we can propose vote of thanks.
Yeah, dear participants, anybody has any question, you may ask your question. Otherwise, no, we will wind off this session for today. I think there are no questions. So now I would like to propose vote of thanks for the session. So honorable speaker of the event, Dr. Kiran Kumar Amireddy Garu, honorable head of the department, Dr. P. Srinivas Rao Garu, principal of the college, Dr. JVR Ravindra sir, faculty members of the department, and all the participants. A very good evening to you all. It's my pleasure to propose vote of thanks again and again. So first of all, I have already introduced myself, that I am K. Deepak, professor of mechanical engineering department at Vardhaman College of Engineering. I, on behalf of the organizing committee of this FDP, I would like to propose vote of thanks, first of all, to our eminent speaker, Dr. Kiran Kumar Amireddy Garu, for being with us, sparing his valuable time from his busy schedule. And also with his vast experience, sir has made the two sessions very interesting with the examples. Otherwise, it would have been difficult for understanding these algorithms to be applied in this quantum computing. So thank you very much, sir, for sparing your time and all. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our principal and the head of the department for taking initiative to organize this event and making the experienced person, renowned persons to come in this and interact with the faculty members. Thank you very much, sirs. I would like to thank all the department faculty members for making the arrangements on time and seeing that everything is going smoothly. Thank you for their efforts. So last but not the least, I would like to express my thanks to all the participants for listening patiently to the sessions and clarifying their whatever doubts. So once again, I thank one and all. Thank you. So we will meet again tomorrow at 10:30. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Actually, sorry for that. I prepared a little more extra slides and try to give some of the more illustrative in between steps and all. So because of that thing,
Since,
I wasn't able to recollect previous thing. So only I had only 5 or 4 hours in between that only scheduled all these things.
So you have put a lot of effort to make us understand these things, sir. We are very thankful for that. We owe you a lot.
Thank you very much. At least you understand.
And also, you have given some references and all that is very helpful and useful for us.
Yeah.
Thank you for that also.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.